Hey, sweet peas. I got, until I get my bookcase all sorted out. Thank you, Lisa, for this. Tina for these. Jane. I feel like I need to thank y'all every time. Sue, Lights, Kathy. Oh, you people that did the squirrels. Oh, Liliana and Michelle, Craft Farm Girl, and KB from KB Fibers, and Madonna. Oh, this is Scout, by the way. This is Scout. I don't want to move them because I had to. Merle the Squirrel, Little Tiny Sawyer. That's what Beth did. Huck's back here. Festus is behind the... I believe that was from Madonna. If I get stuff mixed up, y'all forgive me. In this way gorgeous cross from Helen. I do believe, y'all tell me if I mess up. I cannot remember who sent me this. I got the... And somebody asked me, I believe it was Mel, what the literary squirrel's name was. And she said something about Mr. Bookman. And I think that's terrific. So this is Mr. Bookman. Oh, we got another squirrel up there. My daughter got me that one. We're going to move stuff around whenever we get the thing. Whenever we get the bricks up and stuff. I was trying to show y'all this little button. I know I've already shown this stuff. But I just can't get over these little buttons. They were the ones I was trying to show them through the bag. But you can't really see them through the bag. But I'm going to put him back in there before I lose him. And then these. I do believe this was in the thing Madonna sent me to. Uh-oh. This one's magnet came off his belly. Oh, well. I got glue. I can glue him back on. But everything y'all send is lovely. Even bookmarks. I love them. And you know, I haven't been using this for bookmarks in my thing. And then, is it Laura? I brought the card in here. Now I don't know what I've done with it. But Mad Mimi's Crochet sent me 2 of these today, y'all. That was in the earlier video. Oh, Lord, y'all just send me so much stuff. I can't. It's going to have a home pretty soon when we get all this stuff fixed up. And I still don't know if this is what... This is a stocking. I pulled it out. It's a stocking. I don't know if this is what Cindy from Cindy Hearts Crochet sent or not. I love it. But if it's a boo-boo, we can do whatever we need to do. Just let me know. And this, I got to talk to Donna Mako today, y'all. Donna M. She called me today, and I didn't know who it was, so I didn't answer it, and she left a message, and I'm so glad she did, so I called her right back, and she had sent, I didn't get these, the other stuff that I showed today, this and the yarn came from the post office, and these that Donna sent were in my mailbox, and it would come up a storm, so I had to wait a little bit to get it, but when she called, I had gotten it, but I told her I hadn't opened it yet. And she said that the other thing has come. The main thing, I believe she said, is coming either tomorrow or next week. It was originally supposed to come next week, but then they said I might get it tomorrow. Whatever. Whenever it comes, it's fine. And y'all don't have to send me stuff. I love it, but y'all keep your money. Save it for yarn, for you. But this is from Donna M. So we'll start with the little one first. And she said she was, I don't know whether she wants this. Oh, these are great. She said she was adding on to get free shipping. Don't we always do that? She said she'd rather do that than just have to pay for shipping. But this is great. And it's even got the resealable package, some lobster claws that I can use on you know what. And tomorrow when we're on live, I'm going to sit at that table and work on stitch markers. Y'all make me. But I don't mind doing them. It's just, I got to get out of my comfy chair. Not that it's off. Oh, I do believe we got us a squirrel. Oh, he's beautiful. I love him, Donna. He's about like Festus. Look, it's a twin, but he's a different color. They feel the same and yep, Aurora. They're twins. So if this is Festus, this has to be somebody else off of Gunsmoke. So, is it Matt? We don't have a Miss Kitty. Oh my gosh, and it's red. We might have to fix up a that's Miss Kitty. Even though she's a squirrel. We got Festus and Miss Kitty. Yes, we do. Yep. Thank you so much, sweetie pie. Yeah, I love it. Love it. I love y'all, each and every one of you, whether you send me stuff or not. I know some of you just can't. And that is totally fine. And even if you can, like I said, we got a kitty cat, a real kitty cat. Come here, kitty. I'm kitty sitting, green kitty sitting. And I believe it was Helen noticed that, and while I'm talking, I'm going to put 2 bookmarks in here. Got 2 beautiful bookmarks. And I still got stickers down there. I forgot to hand the stickers out to my girls, so I guess I'll be mailing them or just keeping them till they come back. Okay, I best get on reading, but Helen did notice that she said those squirrels stopped bugging me on my, turn some of these lights off. In other words, I can tape for longer. We'll see. Be sweet, don't be ugly, just in case, because I've gone on and on about stuff. But that's okay. Thanks again, Donna, and all you lovely people for everything. And stuff that I don't have here, too. And just because you're you, and you're here with me, and I appreciate it. And Tina. Okay, 31 is called An Exploring Expedition. Trouble commences. Lost in the cave. Total darkness. Found but not saved. Here we go. Now to return to Tom and Becky's share in the picnic. They tripped along the murky aisles with the rest of the company. This helps me keep my place. And the other's just beautiful. You know, I need to turn it around this way. I'll start reading here in a minute. Rest of the company visiting the familiar wonders of the cave. Wonders daubed with rather over-descriptive names such as the drawing room, the cathedral, Aladdin's palace, and so on. Presently, the hide-and-seek frolicking began, and Tom and Becky engaged it with zeal until the exertion began to grow a trifle wearisome. Then they wandered down a sinus, I don't know if I can say that, sinus, winding and twisting. I probably made a mess of that word. Avenue, holding their candles aloft and reading the tangled web work of names, dates, post office addresses, and mottos with which the rocky walls had been frescoed in candle smoke. Still drifting fresco, y'all know, that's artsy stuff. A fresco is a painting done on a fresh limestone plaster wall using paints made of lime water mixture. Any painting or design done in this manner is frescoed. Still drifting along and talking, they scarcely noticed that they were now in a part of the cave whose walls were not frescoed. They smoked their own names under an overhanging shelf and moved on. Presently they came to a place where a little stream of water, trickling over a ledge and carrying a limestone sediment with it, had in the slow dragging ages formed a laced and ruffled Niagara in gleaming and imperishable stone. Tom squeezed his small body behind it in order to illuminate it for Becky's gratification. He found that it curtained a sort of steep natural stairway. They're just getting further and further in this cave, which was enclosed between narrow walls. And at once the ambition to be a discoverer seized him. Becky responded to his call, and they made a smoke mark for future guidance, and started upon their quest. They wound this way and that, far down into the secret depths of the cave. Not me. Made another mark and branched off in search of novelties to tell the upper world about. In one place they found a spacious cavern, from whose ceiling depended a multitude of shining stalactites. I could never keep stalactites, I guess must hang down, and stalagmites come from the floor up. I always got those mixed up. Of the length and circumference of a man's leg. They walked all about it, wondering and admiring, and presently left it by one of the numerous passages that opened into it. This shortly brought them to a bewitching spring, whose basin was encrusted with a frostwork of glittering crystals. It was in the midst of a cavern whose walls were supported by many fantastic pillars, which had been formed by the joining of great stalactites and stalagmites together. So we got some growing from the top down and some growing from the down up to the top and meeting. The result of the ceaseless water drip of centuries. Under the roof, vast knots of bats had packed themselves together, thousands in a bunch. And they have a picture. Let's see. Packed together, thousands in a bunch. The lights disturbed the creatures, and they came flocking down by the hundreds, squeaking and darting furiously at the candles. Tom knew their ways and the danger of this sort of conduct. He seized Becky's hand and hurried her into the first corridor that offered, and none too soon, for a bat struck Becky's light out with its wing while she was passing out of the cavern. The bats chased the children a good distance, but the fugitives plunged into every new passage that offered, and at last got rid of the perilous things. Tom found a subterranean lake shortly, which stretched its dim length away until its shape was lost in the shadows. He wanted to explore its borders, but concluded it would be best to sit down and rest a while first. Now, for the first time, the deep stillness of the place laid a clammy hand upon the spirits of the children. Becky said, "Why, I didn't notice, but it seems ever so long since I heard of any of the others. Come to think, Becky, we are away down below them, and I don't know how far away north or south or east or whichever it is. We couldn't hear them from here." Becky grew apprehensive. And I'll read this about stalactites. It says, stone icicle-like formations hanging from the roofs of the walls of the caves. They're caused by dripping mineral-filled water. And stalagmites, stone formations rising from the floor of the caves. These formations look like upside-down icicles. They, too, are caused by dripping mineral-filled water. Often the two formations join together to form a column. And you know what bats are. Subterranean, you know what that means, underground. I wonder how long we've been down here, Tom. We better start back. Yeah, I reckon we better. Perhaps we better. Can you find the way, Tom? It's all mixed up. Crookedness to me. I reckon I could find it, but then the bats, if you put both our candles out, it would be if they put both our candles out, it will be an awful fix. Let's try some other way so as not to go through there. Well, but I hope we won't get lost. That would be awful. And the girl shuddered at the thought of the dreadful possibilities. They started through a corridor and traversed it in silence, a long way, glancing at each new opening to see if there was anything familiar about the look of it. But they were all strange. Every time Tom made an examination, Becky would watch his face for an encouraging sign, And he would say, looking for my wiping rag. Must be sitting on it. Well, dang dong. Laura McDonald. Thank you for my yarn. From Mimi's. Mad Mimi's Crochet. Okay. Encouraging sign. Oh, it's all right. This ain't the one, but we'll come to it right away. But he felt less and less hopeful with each failure and presently began to turn off into diverging avenues at sheer random and desperate hope of finding the one that was wanted. He still said it was all right, but there was such a leaden dread at his heart that the words had lost their ring and sounded just as if he had said, all is lost. Becky clung to his side in an anguish of fear and tried hard to keep back the tears, but they would come. At last she said, oh, Tom, never mind the bats. Let's go back that way. We seem to get worse and worse off all the time. Tom stopped. Listen, said he. Profound silence. Silence so deep that even their breathings were conspicuous in the hush. Tom shouted. The call went echoing down the empty aisles and died out in the distance in a faint sound that resembled a ripple of mocking laughter. Oh, don't do it again, Tom. It's too horrid, said Becky. It is horrid, but I better, Becky. They might hear us, you know. And he shouted again. The night was even a chillier horror than the ghostly laughter. It so confessed a perishing hope. The children stood still and listened, but there was no result. Tom turned upon the back track all at once and hurried his steps. It was but a little while before certain indecision in his manner revealed another fearful fact to Becky. He could not find his way back. Oh, Tom, you didn't make any marks. Becky, I was such a fool, such a fool. I never thought we might want to come back. Oh, I can't find the way. It's all mixed up. Tom, we're lost. We're lost. We never can get out of this awful place. Oh, why did we ever leave the others? She sank to the ground and burst into such a frenzy of crying that Tom was appalled with the idea that she might die or lose her reasoning. He sat down by her and put his arms around her. She buried her face in his bosom. She clung to him. She poured out her terrors, her unraveling regrets, and the far echoes turned them all to jeering laughter. Tom begged her to pluck up hope again, and again she could not. He fell to blaming and abusing himself for getting her into this miserable situation. This had a better effect. She said she would try to hope again. She would get up and follow wherever he might lead if only he would not talk like that anymore. For he was no more to blame than she said. So they moved on again aimlessly, simply at random. All they could do was move, keep moving. For a little while, hope made a show of reviving, not with any reason to back it, but only because it is its nature to revive when the spring has not been taken out of it by age and familiarity with failure. By and by, Tom took Becky's candle and blew it out. This economy meant so much. Words were not needed. Becky understood, and her hope died again. She knew that Tom had a whole candle and 3 or 4 pieces in his pocket. Yet he must economize. Don't you wonder how he's going? I hope he's got some matches or something. By and by, fatigue began to assert its claims. Or maybe I guess there's one candle still going, or they wouldn't be able to see. The children tried to pay no attention, for it was dreadful to think of sitting down when time was grown to be so precious. Moving in some direction, in any direction, was at least progress and might bear fruit, but to sit down was to invite death and shorten its pursuit. At last, Becky's frail limbs refused to carry her further. She sat down. Tom rested with her, and they talked of home and the friends there and the comfortable beds. and above all, the light. Becky cried, and Tom tried to think of some way of comforting her, but all his encouragements were grown threadbare with use and sounded like sarcasms. Fatigue bore so heavily upon Becky that she drowsed off to sleep. Tom was grateful. He sat looking into her drawn face and saw it grow smooth and natural under the influence of pleasant dreams, and by a smile dawned and rested there. The peaceful face reflected somewhat of peace and healing into his own spirit, and his thoughts wandered away to bygone times and dreamy memories. While he was deep in his musings, Becky woke up with a breezy little laugh, but it was stricken dead upon her lips, and a groan followed it. "Oh, how could I sleep? I wish I never had waked." "Oh, no, I don't, Tom. Don't look so. I won't say it again." "I'm glad you slept, Becky. You'll feel rested now, and we'll find the way out." "We can try, Tom, but I've seen such a beautiful country in my dream. I reckon we're going there." Maybe not. Cheer up, Becky. Let's go on trying." They rose up and wandered along, hand in hand and hopeless. They tried to estimate how long they had been in the cave, but all they knew was that it seemed days and weeks, and yet it was plain that this could not be, for their candles were not gone yet. A long time after this, they could not tell how long, Tom said they must go softly and listen for dripping water. They must find a spring. They found one presently, and Tom said it was time to rest again. Both were cruelly tired, yet Becky said she thought she could go on a little farther. She was surprised to hear Tom dissent. She couldn't understand it. They sat down, and Tom fastened his candle to the wall. In front of them was some clay. So a while ago, he just blew out her candle. I was wondering how in the world. Thought was soon busy. Nothing was said for some time, and then Becky broke the silence. "Tom, I am so hungry." Tom took something out of his pocket. "You remember this?" said he. Becky almost smiled. "It's our wedding cake, Tom." "Yes, I wish it was big as a barrel, but it's all we've got. I saved it from the picnic for us to dream on, Tom, the way grown-up people do with wedding cake, but it'll be our..." She dropped the sentence where it was. Tom divided the cake, and Becky ate with good appetite, while Tom nibbled at his. There was an abundance of cold water to finish the feast with. By and by, Becky suggested that they move on again. Tom was silent a moment, and then he said, "Becky, can you bear it if I tell you something?" Becky's face paled, but she thought she could. "Well then, Becky, we must stay here where there's water to drink. That little piece is our last candle." Becky gave loose to tears and wailings. Tom did what he could to comfort her, but with little effect. At length, Becky said, "Tom." "Well, Becky?" "They'll miss us and hunt for us." "Yeah, they will. Certainly they will." "Maybe they're hunting us now, Tom." "Well, I reckon maybe they are. I hope they are." "When would they miss us, Tom?" "When they get back to the boat, I reckon." "Tom, it might be dark then." And this is, going back in time. "Would they notice we hadn't come?" "I don't know. But anyway, your mother would miss you as soon as they got home." A frightened look in Becky's face brought Tom to his senses, and he saw that he had made a blunder. Becky was supposed to stay with somebody, and Tom was supposed to stay. Okay. And he saw that he had made a blunder. Becky was not to have gone home that night. The children became silent and thoughtful. In a moment, a new burst of grief from Becky showed Tom that the thing in his mind had struck hers also, that the Sabbath morning might be half spent before Miss Thatcher discovered that Becky was not at Miss Harper's. The children fastened their eyes upon their bit of candle and watched it melt slowly and piteously pitilessly away. Saw the half-inch of wick stand alone at last, saw the feeble flame rise and fall, climb the thin column of smoke, linger at its top a moment. I think I'd have been looking around for something to set on fire, but I reckon in a cave there wouldn't be much. The horror of utter darkness reigned.